let's talk about Markis McDuffie. Let's go glass half full and say, you know what? The Shockers have been without a key component, especially to the offense, to the defense as well, but especially to the offense. With Markis McDuffie, we found out some news this week. Looks like the timeline is we're now very close to having him back. At what percentage, I don't know. We'll see. But there's a chance, maybe, against Florida Gulf Coast. More definitely, I would say, against UConn to start the conference season. So my question here, what can we expect? What kind of impact will Markis McDuffie have on this team? A guy who has not played at all this season, now jumping into a team that has played half a season. What kind of impact is he going to have?
Immediate impact, I'd say minimal. I don't want him to have crazy expectations.
Sure, yeah.
And so I'd say the first 2-3 games, maybe even up to 5 games, they're going to gradually ease him into it, I believe. Who knows? They might throw him out that first game and he'll play 25 minutes. It wouldn't shock me.
That happened with Landry Shaman. When he came back, it was, hey, go.
But I think there's going to be some rest for him, obviously, just being out of it for 2-3 months now. And he'll have some issues to work through, but he'll have an impact, at least in the locker room, mentally. His teammates will say, "Oh, McDuffie's back. Let's get it going. We got the whole gang back now." But after a few games, he'll be back to normal, and Shockers should be rolling again.
Well, and so let's think about this. You can't play 6 guys on the court.
What?
So
Breaking news.
New point of emphasis this year. You can only play 5. So who loses playing time? Where does he fit in a lineup that I mean, yes, they have had their struggles, but I say it looks pretty strong. Where do you put? But Markis McDuffie, you got to put him somewhere. He's an all-star. Yeah. He's a great guy. Where do you put him in this lineup, especially as we start to talk like as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the lineup last night, Shaq didn't start for some reason. Obviously, Frank Camp was out with a migraine. Austin Reeves started in place of him. Rashard Kelly started. So if you're looking at that, McDuffie's going to start in the 4 slot at some point. And that'll knock Rashard Kelly down a spot just because Kelly just doesn't have that same offensive skill set that McDuffie does. And so I think the minutes will just kind of come a little bit off of everyone. It won't just be one guy. It'll be a couple off of Kelly, a couple from Willis, and so forth. But they'll figure it out, and the Shockers will be a lot more deep now.
Yeah. Again, you're Greg Marshall. I love these hypotheticals where I put my friends in these great positions. So you're Greg Marshall. Can I borrow $100,000? No. You're Greg Marshall. How do you, and I guess you already mentioned this a little bit, how do you get him back in? How do you get Markis McDuffie back in? We saw with Landry Shaman, they just threw him back in, started him, and he went off, and things have been fine. Do you ease him back in? Do you play him against Florida Gulf Coast? Do you start him against Florida Gulf Coast? Do you wait till UConn? Do you wait till maybe Houston when you're back at home and it's a little bit easier potentially? How do you do this? How do you get a guy who's a big impact player onto a team where he's had no impact so far this season?
Now, first off, I don't have his medical records. I'm going to assume he's fully healthy now, and that's kind of what the vibe has been. He's fully healthy.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, I would throw him out there for the Florida Gulf Coast game. Maybe I'll only give him 4 or 5 minutes, just something to get his feet wet. Because if his first game is at UConn, which will be, I believe it's broadcast nationally on CBS, so it's a big game, first game for the Shockers in the American Conference. Big. UConn fans are going to be crazy. UConn hasn't been the best so far this season, but it'll still be a tough environment. And so I don't know. He can handle it mentally, but just physically, I worry about him for that to be his very first game at UConn. So I would ease him in early, but certainly wouldn't wait him or hold him back, till after UConn or like Houston you suggested.
Especially with the recent struggles this team has had, it's hard not to have high expectations.
We need him.
I know. It's hard to say bring him back in and lean heavily on him. But that may not be best, and so I don't know. We'll see. But we do know very soon Markis McDuffie will be back.